The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across my childhood bedroom. I was back in my childhood home, clearing out the attic after my parents' passing. Nostalgia had swirled around me like dust motes in the fading light, but it was soon replaced by an unsettling sense of dread. As I sorted through old toys, dusty books, and forgotten trinkets, I stumbled upon a weathered shoebox tucked away in the corner. Inside, a stack of drawings from my youth, long forgotten, lay in disarray. Crayon and marker sketches of my family, pets, and the house were familiar sights, but one drawing sent a shiver down my spine. It depicted a sinister-looking figure with elongated limbs and hollow eyes, lurking beneath a gnarled oak tree that stood just outside my childhood window. The creature seemed to be reaching out toward the house with grotesque, claw-like fingers. At the bottom of the drawing, barely visible, were words written in my childish scrawl. "He's always watching." My heart pounded as I recalled the recurring nightmares I had as a child, nightmares that featured this very same figure. In those dreams, I'd wake up in a cold sweat, convinced I'd heard whispers and scratching sounds outside my window. My parents had dismissed it as a vivid imagination, but now, seeing this drawing, those memories flooded back, and I couldn't help but feel that something sinister had indeed lurked in the shadows of my past. Unable to shake the unsettling feeling, I decided to delve deeper into the drawings. Most were innocent depictions of family outings and pets, but as I sifted through the stack, I found more unsettling images hidden among them. In one, my parents had eerie, hollow eyes, their faces contorted into expressions of terror. Another showed my childhood dog, Rex, with bloodshot eyes and bared teeth, snarling at a shadowy presence in the background. I began to piece together a disturbing narrative. My childhood drawings seemed to contain hidden messages that hinted at a malevolent presence that had tormented my younger self. The more I unearthed, the more I felt as if I were unraveling a twisted mystery. That night, as I lay in my childhood bed, I couldn't escape the eerie sensation of being watched. The memory of that malevolent figure from my nightmares haunted my thoughts, and I couldn't help but wonder if it had ever truly left my life, or if it had merely been biding its time, waiting for me to return to this house. Sleep eluded me, and I listened intently to the creaks and groans of the old house, dreading the sound of scratching at my window. Little did I know that the horrors of my childhood drawings were just the beginning of a nightmarish journey into the unknown. The following day, I decided to investigate further. I retrieved more of my childhood drawings from the attic, each one revealing an increasingly sinister narrative. There was a recurring theme of that malevolent figure, always lurking in the background, always reaching out with those grotesque fingers. One drawing in particular shook me to my core. It depicted my younger self, standing in my bedroom window, staring at the same sinister figure. But this time, there was a message beneath it. "He's coming for you." The words had been etched onto the paper with such force that they had torn through the page. Desperation and fear clawed at me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever this entity was, it had been a part of my life for far longer than I had ever realized. I had to confront this nightmare from my past, to understand the eerie messages hidden within my childhood drawings. As night descended once more, I decided to set up a makeshift surveillance system in my childhood bedroom. I placed a camera facing the window, hoping to capture any evidence of the malevolent presence that had haunted me. With bated breath, I watched the live feed on my laptop, my heart pounding like a drum. Hours passed, and nothing happened. I began to doubt my own sanity, wondering if I had been consumed by childhood fears. Just as I was about to give up, a subtle movement caught my eye on the screen. The gnarled branches of the oak tree outside my window seemed to writhe and contort, as if they were alive. Then, in the dim light of the moon, I saw it. An elongated shadow, not cast by any tree or natural object, but something far more sinister. The figure from my nightmares emerged, its grotesque form taking shape outside my window. It had those hollow, predatory eyes, and its clawed fingers reached out, scraping against the glass. I froze in terror, unable to tear my gaze away from the screen. The camera captured every horrifying detail, the figure's silent, relentless pursuit of my childhood nightmare. It was as if the drawings had summoned this malevolent entity back into my life. The chilling realization washed over me. The drawings were not just a reflection of my childhood fears, but a conduit for something unspeakable. The entity was no longer bound to my nightmares. It was now a living nightmare, encroaching upon my reality. I watched in helpless horror as it continued to scratch at the window, slowly, methodically, as if seeking a way in. Dread clung to me like a suffocating shroud, and I knew that I was no longer safe in my childhood home. The time for denial had passed, and I had to confront the sinister force that had plagued me since youth. As I gathered my courage to confront the malevolent entity in the flesh, I could only hope that I would survive the terror that had been unleashed from my childhood drawings. Drenched in a cold sweat, I knew I had to act. The malevolent entity was no longer confined to my nightmares or drawings. It was here, outside my window, scratching at the glass. With trembling hands, I grabbed a flashlight and a crucifix from a dusty drawer, summoning every ounce of courage I could muster. The camera feed on my laptop showed the entity's relentless assault on the window pane. It seemed to sense my determination, and its hollow eyes bore into my very soul. The scratching grew more frenzied, and I knew that I had no choice but to confront this nightmare head on. Steeling myself, I flung open the bedroom door and rushed into the hallway. My footsteps echoed through the empty house as I made my way to the back door leading to the garden. I could still hear the scratching, louder now, as if the entity was aware of my approach. Outside, the moonlight cast an eerie glow on the gnarled oak tree. The malevolent figure's shadow loomed large against the trunk, its elongated limbs stretching out like nightmarish tendrils. Its grotesque fingers scraped against the window, producing an agonizing, nails-on-glass sound that sent shivers down my spine. I raised the crucifix, heart pounding, and called upon every ounce of my willpower to confront this unholy presence. "Be gone," I cried, my voice trembling but resolute. The entity let out a guttural, otherworldly shriek, a sound that seemed to reverberate through the very fabric of reality. The scratching ceased, and the shadowy figure recoiled as if struck by an invisible force. It writhed and twisted in agony, its form flickering like a dying ember. But I couldn't let up. With the crucifix held high, I advanced on the malevolent entity, forcing it further away from the house. It seemed to dissipate, its form fragmenting into a swirling inky mist. With one final, desperate wail, it vanished into the night. I stood there, breathless and shaken, watching as the shadowy presence dissipated completely. The oak tree's branches returned to their natural, unmoving state, and the night grew quiet once more. The malevolent entity was gone, banished by my determination and the crucifix's power. As dawn broke, I returned to my childhood bedroom, my heart heavy with the weight of the night's events. The camera had captured the entire confrontation, providing evidence of the horror that had plagued me for so long. I knew that I had faced a malevolent force born from the eerie messages hidden in my childhood drawings. I couldn't stay in that house any longer. I packed my belongings, leaving behind the attic filled with drawings and memories of a terrifying encounter. As I drove away, I couldn't help but wonder if the malevolent entity had truly been defeated, or if it had merely lay dormant, waiting for another opportunity to return. One thing was certain. I had come face to face with a nightmare from my past, and it had left an indelible mark on my soul. The eerie messages in my childhood drawings had been a harbinger of unspeakable horror, a horror that I would carry with me for the rest of my days.